Hello, and a big welcome to all of you who are listening and watching this podcast today. I have a special guest here today. It's Austra Putnina. A big welcome to you. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And you are not a horsey person, but you have a lot around mindset, and I use a lot of mindset for my customers or what you call it, and riders use mindset, and they use it to uh, be together with the horse because your mindset is going through your body and down in the horse. And tell us a little about what you are doing and how and all these things.
Oh, there's so much. Well, a lot of it, as you mentioned, is mindset. I think I have been into psychology, mindset, uh, becoming better since I was probably 12 years old. So at this point, probably more than half of my life, I have been in self-development space. And through that led me to study 1 year psychology back home. Then I studied, got bachelor's in sports psychology, and that's when I started to work with entrepreneurs, athletes, and pretty much like helping them to deal with things that are getting in our way, but then also elevating our performance, our mindset, dealing with stress, dealing with pressure, dealing with life, and everything that life throws at us. And that's been the majority of my work. And I think a big part of it has been just me working on myself and just trying to understand myself better, in certain ways understand why I am the way I am and how I can change things that I might not like, or I might not be, or I would feel like I'm limited in, or I would have some perceived limitations, which I think a lot of your listeners that might be having some fear or something like that.
Mhm.
That's where a lot of times we have these perceived limitations or fears in our mind. So yeah, just
Yeah,
everything
and
self-development,
and
passion of mine.
sometimes you're not aware of your fear. It's just that, as I said, when we are going to take the car, and with, oh, there's a lot of traffic today, and then you get stuck in your mind and you get nervous and all these things. So it's so good to recognize it for yourself.
Awareness, I usually say awareness is the first step. And the way I describe awareness is, so if we both were now in a dark room and I told you I have this ball, I'm gonna throw it at you, and I want you to catch it. How likely is it that you will catch it? And it's the same with self-development and working on ourselves. It's hard to work on something that we don't see. And that's
Mm.
where awareness is really helpful to actually be able to see what is it that we want to work on, what is it that we're not happy with. But a lot of times what we do is we're trying to hide away from it, or we don't want to look at it. It's like, you know how a lot of times, a lot of us, we have it where we have in house one room that whenever we have guests over, nobody goes in that room. Everything goes in that room. We put everything there, but nobody can go in that room. And that's what we do with ourselves. We have things about ourselves that we just try to stuff away. We don't want to look at them. We don't want to address them. But that's where awareness can help us to first slowly start to look at them and then slowly start to work through them and resolve some of the things that we might want to resolve.
Yeah, and this awareness, how can we help people to just think about it?
That's a good question. Um, I think we always experience moments that bring us in awareness, whether it's, well, good example is triggers. So if there's something that somebody says to you or something happens that makes you feel certain way, whether it's fear, whether it's anger, those are the moments when we get triggered. And that's when, if we stop and we think about it, or a lot of times we look back and we're not really happy with what we did or what we said, and we might have negative feelings about it, but that's where we become aware. This is what I did. Um, Something that can help because we want to avoid getting to those situations to get awareness. Something that can help is literally just journaling. Just every day journal on something, or there's plenty of prompts or plenty of questions that you can find online where you can literally just sit down and write whatever is in your mind. And partly it helps with awareness because it slows down our thinking. Our mind is just going in circles, but then when you write it out, it literally slows down your mind and you're able to. It's like you zoom in and you're able to see something that you might not have seen before because you have stopped this circling going on in your mind. And that's when you can start to see things. Um, or notice some of the patterns. It's a lot of the times if we think on what is something that I always keep doing, it's always repeating, this problem always comes up, and a lot of times we are the common dominator in the whole situation, and that's where we can look at those things and we can one thing that I do suggest anybody listening is not to do it with judgment because a lot of times we might see things we don't like and we want to go into judgment or we want to beat ourselves up or we start to feel bad
Mm,
about ourselves. What I would say is replace judgment with curiosity and try to
mm,
understand, I wonder, why did I do this? Why did I react this way? And the more you are curious, the more you open up yourself to discovering something new instead of now trying to shut yourself down, beating yourself up, or feeling negative emotions, which is not really helpful. For the most part, it can make things worse. So we want to always be curious. Curiosity is probably one of the things that many people that know me associate me with because I'm always curious. I'm always looking for answers. I'm always trying to understand things. And that has led me to expand and grow. It doesn't mean that, which is another assumption that people have, is that the growth feels good
mm.
but it doesn't. Because
Not
for the
always,
most,
no.
yeah, because for the most part, we start to do something that's unfamiliar, something
Mm,
that isn't comfortable. Because by default, what's comfortable, that's within the comfort zone. Once we start to step outside of it, that's the discomfort zone. That's where we stop feeling good, but it's good. Usually, we see
mm,
it as bad, we see bad emotions as bad. The way I look at it is if I know start to do something new or I start to let's say I had a client who she was introvert and she would struggle to leave house. She literally was so afraid to leave house. 2 weeks later, she's talking to strangers and she's starting conversations with them. And I would ask her, "So, are you an introvert now?" And she would have to think about it because usually introverts they don't start conversations with strangers on street.
no.
And that's where it's a lot of it is approaching things with curiosity and taking those steps and going through what I call exposure therapy, which we identified that that's a fear she has and she wants to change it, but it's hard to change it by staying within the four walls. You
Mm,
can meditate on it, you can think about it, but then when what really helps is you practicing it and you actually getting out there, taking the first step, having the first failure or the first stumble, and then you feel all terrible and stressed out and anxious, and then you learn to deal with that. And then you go try again, and it's a messy process until you master some of those skills. But then once you do, that's where you start to feel good again. It becomes your comfort zone.
mm,
That's your new comfort zone.
yeah.
But in the beginning, it can be a messy process.
Mm, yeah. I have a friend who have helped me with the techie stuff, and I'm like that, this is not working. But he had a whole other approach. He said, "Wow, this is interesting." And I said, "How can you say it's interesting? I hate it." But that is the way you approach it. And as you said, if you are curious and wow, how is this function? And I try another way, and then you will get through it.
And it's also interesting that there are areas in which we can be really patient, and then there are areas you don't need much.
I know.
It's like one of my mentors, she says that if you want to know how healed you are, go and spend holiday with your family, because those are the people that can push your buttons the best. And that's
Mm,
when you can see how much you have grown, how much you have developed, how much you can deal with stressors and people poking you. Um,
yeah.
because that's where we really get feedback on our growth. If we now control our whole environment, and to example with that lady, if you're in four walls, nobody's triggering you, nobody's annoying you, nobody's challenging you, how much can you grow? How much you can actually measure your growth? But then when you start to get outside, you start to practice things, you start to go through experiences that do challenge you. That's where you can see how much you have grown. And then you can compare something that was stressful a year ago. Today, it's not stressful anymore, which means I have grown, I have developed, because that
Mm.
doesn't really bother me anymore.
And acknowledge that you have done it, because I always say to my friends that you pat you on your shoulder, even if you think it's nothing. I haven't done nothing. Yes, you have. You have worked on it. You have come that far, instead of blaming yourself. You never get anywhere, and these negative feelings.
I That's a good point, and I definitely agree to that, because I think I see this a lot. And I myself, I'm still learning to do that, because
Mm,
I'm always on to the next. Let's focus on next and, next thing. But now it's less from a place of, initially it would be from a place of, oh, I'm not good enough. I need to get this done so that I feel good about myself. Now it's more so, again, curiosity. I wonder how much or how far I can go, how much I can get done, how much I can learn about myself and discover. But it is important to take, and I agree to you, it doesn't have to be huge milestones that we celebrate only those. It can be as simple as, today I so didn't want to go for a walk, but I
mm,
did.
mm.
Celebrate. Probably not celebrate with a cake, but at least acknowledge it
Why not?
emotionally. I mean, if you take cake every day, then you will have to do a lot of walking.
Yes.
But it's something that I think we don't really give ourselves enough credit. And I think partly it can be because of the environment that we are right now, where everything is about working hard and always you chase the next thing, but you never really stop to look around you and see how far you have come. And and then if you do, it's only for, it becomes like a distraction to actually acknowledge yourself, because the focus is on just like the next thing, and it's
Yeah.
an interesting balance to have, because you also don't want to stay stuck in celebrating something you did 5 years ago, and then you just hold on to that, and that becomes the only thing that you have, that you feel proud of. So it's I think actually something that can help is every day just writing down the wins of the day.
Hmm. Yeah.
Write down like 3 to 5 wins of the day. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but like it can be going for a walk. It can be I I did this task that I have been procrastinating for like 2 months.
Mm,
It can be as simple as, oh, it was like my win was that I had really good time with family. We had nice dinner, had nice
yeah.
conversations. I really enjoyed that. So and
I
also what
was
you
nice
do.
to my husband.
Yeah. And or like, I treated my friends with like I bought them coffee, or it doesn't have to be anything big, but it's
No.
it's about finding and it's something that I actually was thinking about this Christmas, how it's the small things. It's the small gestures.
Mm,
It's the nuances that actually can make you feel great. It's like example, I was visiting my parents, and my mom had this like small cactus,
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, it looks so nice! It's so cute." I'm like, "Oh, I want one." She's like, "Oh, I have only this one." I'm like, and
Mm,
and we just, and that was pretty much where the conversation ended. And then the next day we went to grandma's place to celebrate. And my parents came, and my mom, she had brought like a coffee cup. She's like, "Oh, I got you coffee." And within that in that coffee cup there was the small cactus that she had bought. And I had forgotten about it by the time we were there. Because
Yeah.
I was just, while I was there, I was like, "Oh, it's so nice." But then she said it like that's her only one. So I was like, "Okay, no worries."
Hmm.
And it was it's the small things.
Yeah.
And while I was forgetting about it, she had it in her mind. She went the following day, got it for me, put it in a nice cup because I had to spend like 5 hours on a bus to get back home. And she had thought about all that, which it seems like a small gesture, but at the same time, it's a big gesture.
It's the thought. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the
Mm.
intention, it's the thought behind it. And that's where I think a lot of times we think that even to show others appreciation or anything like that, it has to be something huge. It has to be this like huge
Mm.
gesture. As simple as saying thank you or saying something that you appreciate about the other person, it can go far. And again, it's the small things. That's what a lot of times we remember. It's the hey, how are you? How are things? I just wanted to check in with you. I don't need anything from you. I just want to know how you are. You know,
Mm.
and it can go far, and it can make you, which is I think another thing that we're slowly losing in today's society, is the connection, especially my generation.
Mm.
With all the social media and everybody's on their phones,
Yeah.
a lot of times the social skills are not as good because of that, which we can't blame younger generation for that. That's their environment that they're growing up with, but it
Yeah.
is costing them a lot, that
Mm.
connection. and and that's where these small things, it's amazing how far small gestures can go.
Yeah. I remember I was also learning about self-development and all these things, and we got this thing we should do. We should call a friend and tell them how much they meant to us. And I called my best friend. I said, I just wanted to tell you that you have meant a lot to me in my life. She started crying. And she was so happy. It's fantastic, she said. "Oh, you thought of me and I was your best friend." Yeah, it's so little, so little.
Yeah, but it means so much.
Yes. And the horses is a good thing for us who are horsey people, that we can go to them and we can talk to them. They don't understand what we say, but they know what mood we are in. And there it is also very important that you are in a good mood if you're going to ride your horse, because the horse can feel it. They have also aura and all these things. So if you are mad or angry and come to you, now we're going for a ride, uh, they will not going to like it, and some of them will react in a bad way.
What is in your experience, what can help to have that mood or shift that mood if you're in a, let's say you have a bad day, but let's say if there's somebody who has to have a competition or something where they actually need to be riding a horse in like this evening or this afternoon.
I always start with breathing. Take a deep breath and just like that. And the horses use that yeah, expression also, that they like that when
Hmm.
they are relaxing. And if you come and you are stressed and you think, well, this is not going well, just take a step backwards and take a deep breath.
That's
That's a big
interesting.
one.
Yeah, I definitely could see how that can help.
Our breath is up here when we are stressed and when we are uh, angry and all that, and the horse can feel it. So if you're not in the best mood, you have to take care of yourself. And that teaches you how important it is, because the horse is like other people. If you go out and treat other people come and do who you are and all these things, they will also react in the same way. So horses teaches us so much.
I could, with what you explained, I could see a lot of parallels with people, because a
Mm,
lot of the times people are a reflection of ourselves. The way they respond to us, they, I think a good example would be like one of my clients, she said she has anger issues with her
mm,
fiance.
mm,
And I said to her, well, whenever we talk, have we argued? Have we had like these shouting or, anger exchanges? She was like, no. And I said to her, a lot of times we think it takes two, but it can actually take one to have healthy relationship. Because if one person is regulated, then you will respond to that. And that person, even if you try to initiate something, they will not respond back to that. But at the same time, if people do respond, we have to pay attention to that, because they show us information of, they reflect to us, because we engage. And I could see a lot of parallels with horses in that as well, how they can respond to the way you feel, the way you show up. and and there's a lot that you can get from that, because especially with negative responses,
mm,
because we don't want to acknowledge that we play some role in those negative responses. We rather show a finger, point a finger, and
mm,
tell that you made me mad.
mm,
But imagine how powerless it is to give somebody power to make you feel certain way,
mm,
instead of, you know what, you said something that made me feel certain way. Give me a minute, let me think on that, what it is. I want to understand it so I can resolve it within myself, because I assume you didn't have bad intentions. Depends on the person, of course, but for the most part, people don't have bad intentions. But something in the way they said it, or the way they looked at you, or whatever it was,
mm,
they unintentionally might have made you feel a certain way. So instead of going reactive, we can go, hold up, something happened.
mm,
Let me think on it. Let me go within and try to understand it. Because the way I look at it is, those moments are when we get, I describe triggers as a gift. We have this gift to unwrap of something that we can explore, something that we can understand about ourselves, or something that we can work on ourselves. Because there's always some information within the triggers of, oh, you said this made me feel this way. Oh, good. There's
yeah,
something for me to
why?
learn.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you sometimes you don't have to open your mouth. It's just when
Mm.
you get in the room, everybody
Yeah.
sees,
Yeah.
wow. Shh,
Especially when you are
don't talk
already
too
at
much.
this level. It's, yeah, it's but a lot of it is, I think that's the beauty of being a human, because there's so much that we can learn about ourselves and about others. Again, as long as we stay curious instead of pointing fingers, being angry and judging each other. And I actually was thinking about this, I just came up before we started recording, that the thought of making video about calling ourselves out, because we all walk around as if we know we have all the answers, and we are these perfect people, and we pretend like we know everything while everybody else hasn't figured it out, while in reality we all are just trying to figure it out as we're going. And we don't give each other enough compassion. And you know what? Like, I see you have figured this out. Can you show me how you did it? I have figured this out. I think, at least at where I'm at right now, I could
Yeah.
help you with this. And instead of helping each other out, we're just like trying to hide so that others don't see how imperfect we are, which none of us are perfect. And we walk around as nothing is wrong. And then what happens is, we try to hide our problems, and then we try to deal with them by ourselves, while somebody else is dealing with the same problem. And instead of connecting with it or sharing about it and trying to figure it out together, we now try to hide, and then there's walls, and we don't even know what is going on in the other person's world.
Mm,
um and it's an interesting thing, because we do try to pretend we are perfect, but at the same time we connect our over our imperfections.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm the best. Roar.
Which is, I think it's fine to want to be the best, but for me personally, I want to be the best version of me. If that
Mm,
involves me being best at something compared to somebody else, okay, that might be the case. But even then, I still want to have somebody who can challenge me so that we can keep pushing each other to get better. Otherwise,
yeah.
if you're at the top, you're all by yourself, and probably because of curiosity, I would keep going, but it's fun to go together and
Mm,
challenge each other. And when I feel that I'm high, then there's next person. I'm like, oh, let me try to catch up with you. And but at the same time, I don't make it mean that they are better or not. They just probably have figured out something that I haven't yet. Or they might
mm,
know something that I don't know yet, but it doesn't make me less than. I might just be a few steps behind.
yeah, that's so right. So right. So, what are you thinking if you're talking to a person who, yeah, let's say in football or something like that? I'm not good enough. I'm not that. How could you help them?
This is actually something I also was thinking literally right before our conversation. Confidence. Big one is confidence. And confidence is a tricky one. I literally had a conversation with my client today about it. How before we do something that we don't feel confident in, we think that we need to feel confident for us to do the thing. But the way we gain confidence is by doing the thing. And then through doing, we now see results. And that's when we start to feel confident because we become more competent.
Mm,
So it's that little, or like it's that paradox where for us to start, we think we need to be confident, but for us to be confident, we need to be doing it. And what I have learned is that good example would be I did the half Ironman, which is it's like an ultra triathlon, and I did it. Usually it takes 6 to 8 months to prepare for it. I gave myself 90 days, and I have no background in triathlon whatsoever. I did the I started to do outdoor swims 10 days before the race. I
ooh,
tried the swimming suit for swims the week of the race, and I had never been doing road bike cycling. I had done none of that, and I had 90 days to figure everything out and train up for a race, which ended up taking me 7.5 hours to finish. So it's a lot of training in a sport that at day one, I knew I can't finish it. I wasn't in a place where I can even think about finishing it. There's no chance I can endure that long distances. So, was I confident in my ability to finish? No. I had no belief and I had no reason to believe because I knew that with where I am right now, there's no way I can finish it. And I have no past reference of me being able to finish it because I have not only ever done anything like Ironman related, I have never done triathlon. I have no experience with it. So, and I just signed up for one 90 days later. And what I did understand is that, or one of the things that I have reflected and I have understood is that you don't need to believe you can do something for you to do it. So in my case, I didn't need to believe that I can finish it for me to actually take actions required to increase the chances of me potentially finishing it. And even, let's say, in the case if I wouldn't finish for whatever reason, it because what happened 1 week before the race, I had a call with one of my clients who has finished this race. And he asked me, have you sorted your nutrition? Because it's really important for races that long. I was like, no. Have you tried your transitions? No. And after that call, I was freaking out. And I have 1 week until the race. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Mm,
And then what I did, I don't know where that idea came from. What I did is I put next to each other my before picture and after picture. And there was a huge difference. And it's only, I think at that point, it was 85 days. It wasn't even 90 days.
mm,
And I looked at them and I was like, I'm already winning. I'm getting
mhm,
results. I'm this is the longest that I have ever been able to do any training. I've been training for the most part, it was 15, 20 hours a week. And there's no way how I'm actually losing. So I think a lot of when it comes to confidence or that what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm this? What if I'm that?
mm,
A lot of it comes from the fear of failure. And it's about how we look at the failure because another thing to keep in mind is that even if I failed, I'm still lapping everybody who's sitting on sofa doing nothing.
mhm,
So it's that what was that saying where people who are in the arena, they will never judge you because they're actually in the arena. So for the most part, people that judge you, people that might give you some negativity are the people that are on the sidelines and they're not doing anything other than criticizing you and telling you all the things that you're doing wrong. People who
like
are in the
like
arena,
him sitting in the sofa with a beer and looking at football, the TV.
yeah. And
Oh, he's just
and they know exactly what you did wrong
yes.
and they see everything and they can point you out, they can make you a summary of all the mistakes that you made. And while the last time they played football might have been 20 years ago,
Mm,
so that's where it's a lot of that I'm not good enough is just that one is you haven't either you are attaching some of your self-worth to the result. So let's say if I would attach the way I look at myself, the way I perceive how worthy I am to whether I succeeded or not with that race, then I would be freaking out. In my case, again, it was curiosity. I wonder if I can get it done. If I
mm,
would, that would be crazy. I don't like and I literally made the video on the day one and I was telling, do I think I can do it? I don't know. I have never done it before. I can't know if I
mm,
can do it. And even the day before, I was joking with my brother came over and my friend also was here and I was joking with them that oh I hope I finish it. I hope I finish it. And later when we talked about it, she was like, "Oh, I think we had like recorded episode for my podcast about it." And she said that I didn't have the confidence or I was worried about the race the day before. And I corrected her. I was like, I wasn't worried. I don't think I had lack of confidence. I wasn't stressed. I was actually in some ways too calm on the race day. I didn't stress. I was just super calm.
mm,
And I have no reason to be calm. and but I think big part of it was, well, with where I am right now, let's say it's day before, I don't know if I can finish it or not. I will find it out tomorrow. There's no reason for me to stress about it, to worry about it, because I will find
mm.
it out tomorrow. Tomorrow I will get my answer. Instead of
Yeah,
now spending the last 24 hours thinking, what if I don't finish it? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if? Which the what ifs, there's a lot of what ifs that can happen with
yeah.
so many complexities in that. There's literally three sports within the one. So there's many things that can go wrong. But it's that and it is because I have done a lot of work on myself because there will be a time that I wouldn't even post about it. I wouldn't sign up for it because there was a chance I might not finish it.
Mm,
And the more you put yourself in situations where you think, okay, I'm afraid to go and do this thing. Okay, is there a way how I can do something that's not as extreme, but maybe slightly closer to me being able to do that? And then I go and try to do that. Sometimes we do full immersion. We just go for it and do it. And you might fail, you might embarrass yourself, but you did it, and that's what counts. And you
yeah,
get the
but
best lessons in action.
who do you embarrass? It is only yourself. I mean, as you said, other people they maybe don't do it. Why should they embarrass you? But we are very
Yeah.
hard on ourselves.
Other people criticize you because that's all they have. They are not taking action.
Well,
So all they have is criticism in many
mm,
ways. Because you taking action and you getting out in that arena, it can make them feel bad about themselves because they know that they're not. They're sitting on the sidelines and they are afraid to take steps towards their dreams or their aspirations. And now they see you doing that with yours and they're like, oh, you're going to start your little podcast and no, no, no. Now you're an influencer. and and I have had so many people comment on I don't think it's bad intentions, but it's just like, oh, now you're an influencer, you're gonna read my mind, you're gonna um and at the beginning it would annoy me. I would be like, no, I'm just trying to help people. Like, what
yeah.
is wrong with that, you know? But at the same time, it's fine. I understand it. And I know that a lot of the times that's how people express that, I wish I could do that.
Mm,
It's just different words.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, there's so many thoughts and so many things that we can change. And also, as you said, a little bit at a time, a little
Baby
bit.
steps.
Yes, because many times we're thinking, I want to do that. I have to train 1 hour a day, and then on the third day you are so sore in your body that you can't move, and no, I don't, and then you end up not doing it, as you said.
You know what I say
Just
with this? So I don't call them habits, I call them baby steps. And a good example with what you said about 1 hour exercise. It's like all the New Year's resolutions. I
yeah,
gonna read 8 books a day. I gonna train 5 hours a day. I will eat super healthy and I gonna work 20 hours a day. And all these aspirations that a lot of times they're unrealistic. And what I say to that is, well, first you want to identify ideally no more than one area that you want to focus on as the main thing. And then within that, ideally set one goal. Let's keep it simple. And from there, think about baby steps. What can you do daily? But the thing with baby steps, especially like first month, is you have to make them so small that it feels ridiculous not to do it.
mhm,
Meaning, instead of putting it 1 hour exercise, 5 minutes.
yeah,
I can't find 5 minutes to exercise. That's ridiculous. I can find 5 minutes, even in the
mhm.
busiest day. And what you will see, and a lot of times people are like, well, it doesn't count, like it's nothing.
It
Well,
does. It
by the end of
does,
the week, it's
really.
already 35 minutes, but it doesn't mean that you always stop at 5 minutes. That's the
No.
minimum. And also you'll be surprised at how quickly you can now do more because you have been consistent. So you build up tolerance to be able to do more. And I have done it. I have gotten to, I think at one point I had 33 daily baby steps that I did every single day. And I was tracking everything. I have been into this world for years, where I had 98% of execution on them. So every day, the whole month, 33 things I got done. And I think it was either 100% or 90 something percent every single day of the task that I had to do. But I started with 5, like
Mhm,
few months before that. And I just built it up. Where now at this point, I don't add as many because I have changed my approaches. And for like my focus now, I have seasons where like this season I focus on this. And then I have maintenance goals in other areas so that those don't fall backwards.
mhm,
But they're not necessarily growth goals, they're maintenance. What do I need to do to make sure I don't go backwards in this area? Um, and then I just do that. But it's we don't want to overcomplicate change. And a lot of times change happens over consistent efforts. So we need to give ourselves time, but also we have to make sure we don't make it harder than it should be.
mhm,
Just do something that you like. One of my friends, she had one baby step with reading, open a book.
mhm. Yeah.
That was for baby stuff.
Then you get curious. What is there in the book?
Yeah, soon enough you have read 1 page, read
Yeah.
5 pages, read 10 pages, but it starts with opening a book.
Yeah. That's right. Fantastic insight. Thank you so much. And I hope that you out there have learned a lot. I did. And if somebody wants to find you somewhere, where can they find you?
Uh, well, I think if they search for my name, they're probably going to find me in most places. They can also check out my podcast, Chase the Impossible, where I talk and I get guests on. We talk about all the topics about improving your life, getting better, moving forward, overcoming all the limiting thoughts that we have. But anywhere like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, those are the places where you can find me just by searching my name. I'm probably gonna show up. My name is unique enough.
Yeah, I think so. It's a nice name, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for all the thoughts and all the things we have been talking about. And I hope that you out there like it. And please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again soon.